The family meeting wasn't loud. That's what made it worse. We were sitting at the dining table when my sister said, almost casually, "No one wants you here anymore." I waited for my parents to react. My mother nodded. My father stayed quiet. No explanation. No argument. Just agreement. I remember feeling embarrassed for not seeing it sooner, for thinking I still belonged. What they didn't realize was that I was the one quietly holding things together. And once I stepped back, the consequences didn't come from me. They came from the space I left behind. The meeting was scheduled like an errand. My sister texted, "Can you come over Sunday? We need to talk as a family." No urgency. No warmth. Just information. That should have warned me. I showed up a little early. My parents' house looked the same as always. Same curtains. Same crack step at the entrance. I noticed small things I'd never paid attention to before, like how my sister's car was parked right in front, as if she'd claimed the place. We sat around the dining table. Tea was poured. Biscuits were passed around. Normal gestures that now feel fake when I think back on them. My sister did most of the talking. She always had. She started by saying things had been tense lately, that family gatherings felt uncomfortable, that everyone was walking on eggshells. I honestly thought she was talking about herself. She had a way of turning every room heavy. Then she looked straight at me and said it. "No one wants you here anymore." Not angrily. Not cruelly. Just flat. Like she was stating a rule. I laughed. A short, confused laugh. I actually said, "What?" That's when my mother nodded. Slowly. Like she'd practiced it in her head. My father kept his eyes on the table. His silence was louder than anything else. I asked what I had done wrong. My sister shook her head. "It's not about a mistake. You just don't fit anymore." That sentence stuck with me. Don't fit. Like I was furniture that no longer matched the room. They talked about how I should focus on my own life. How it would be healthier for everyone if I stopped coming around. How this wasn't a rejection, just a boundary. No one asked how I felt. I noticed something then. Every example they gave of me being a problem was vague. No dates. No incidents. Just feelings. Discomfort. Vibe. I realized they had already agreed on this before I arrived. I didn't argue. Not because I agreed, but because I finally understood my role. I was the easy one to remove. I paid my own bills. I didn't ask for help. I didn't cause scenes, which meant I was safe to push aside. I stood up, thanked them for being honest, and left. No one stopped me. As I sat in my car, my phone buzzed. A message from my sister. "I hope you don't take this personally. It's just what's best for the family." I stared at the screen and felt something settle inside me. Not anger. Clarity. And once you see where you stand, you stop standing still. I didn't cut them off. That part is important. I didn't send a long message. I didn't confront anyone. I didn't announce my absence. I just stopped showing up. No Sunday lunches. No birthdays. No casual check-ins. I muted the family group chat and archived it. I told myself it was temporary just to get my head straight. Weeks passed. The first call came from my mother. She asked if I was sick. I said no. She asked if I was busy. I said yes. The conversation ended politely, awkwardly. She didn't mention the meeting. Neither did I. Then my father called. Shorter conversation. He asked if everything was okay. I said I was managing. He didn't push. My sister didn't call at all. I noticed how quiet my life became. Not empty. Just quieter. Mornings felt lighter. I didn't have that constant tension of preparing myself to be tolerated. But something else happened too. Small cracks started to show on their side. My parents began handling things I used to manage without realizing it. Bills that confused them. Appointments they forgot. Forms they didn't understand. I had always stepped in quietly. Never announced it. Just helped. Now I didn't. My mother texted asking if I could help her reset her online banking. I told her I was swamped at work. She said okay. My father asked if I could come by and quickly look at some paperwork. I said I couldn't make it that week. None of these were punishments. I didn't plan them. I simply stopped filling the gaps. The tone of messages changed. They became more careful. More polite. Less certain. One afternoon, I accidentally opened the family chat. My sister was frustrated about something, complaining about how tired she was, how much responsibility she suddenly had. That made me pause. Responsibility for what? I realized she had stepped into the space I left, the space where things quietly got done, where problems were solved before becoming problems. She wasn't used to that. A month later, my mother asked if I could come over just to talk. No agenda. No pressure. I said I'd think about it. That night, I sat alone in my apartment, replaying the meeting in my head. The nod. The silence. The way they decided my place without me. I wasn't planning revenge. I wasn't angry anymore. But I was done being invisible support. And for the first time, I wondered what would happen if I never stepped back in. The invitation came 2 months later. My sister sent it, not my parents. That alone told me something had shifted. Can you come over this weekend? Mom's been really stressed. We should all talk. No apology. No acknowledgement of the meeting. Just urgency. I didn't respond right away. Instead, I thought back over the last few weeks and noticed things I hadn't wanted to admit before. My parents hadn't just relied on me emotionally. I was their buffer, their translator, their fixer. I handled insurance calls because my father hated automated systems. I booked medical appointments because my mother forgot dates. I explained documents my sister skimmed and ignored. I had been useful. Quietly. Conveniently. And once I stopped, everything piled up on the people who thought I didn't matter. I finally replied to my sister. I'm busy right now. Maybe later. She didn't like that. Her next message was longer. Defensive. She said she didn't mean things the way they came out. That everyone was emotional that day. That family says things sometimes. I read it twice. She never said she was wrong. A week later, my mother called me crying. Not sobbing. Controlled crying. The kind meant to pull you closer without saying why. She said my father was overwhelmed. That things were slipping. That she missed me. I listened quietly. I didn't argue. I didn't remind her of the nod. I said I hoped things improved and ended the call. That night, guilt hit me harder than anger ever had. I almost went over the next day. But then something unexpected happened. My sister called again. This time she was irritated. She complained about how much she had to handle now. How my parents leaned on her for everything. How ungrateful they were. How she felt trapped. I realized she was saying the same things I'd been feeling for years. The difference was I had never made it someone else's problem. She asked if I could at least help a little. Just temporarily. Just until things settled. That was the moment I understood the full picture. They didn't miss me. They missed the role I played. I told her I couldn't right now. That I was focusing on my own stability. She went quiet. Then said something that still sits with me. So you're just going to abandon them? That word. Abandon. It landed differently this time. I calmly reminded her that I had been told no one wanted me there. That I had respected that boundary. That stepping back wasn't abandonment. It was acceptance. She hung up. A few days later, my father called. He finally said what no one else had. We made a mistake, he said quietly. He didn't defend anyone. He didn't explain. He just said the house felt different. He said things weren't working the way they used to. I asked him one question. What changed? He didn't answer right away. Then he said, you stopped coming. That was it. No confrontation. No demands. Just a realization settling in. He asked if we could meet. Just the two of us. I said yes. Not because I was ready to forgive, but because I wanted to hear what came next. As I hung up, I understood something important. I hadn't planned revenge. But by simply believing them when they said they didn't want me, I had forced everyone to finally see my value. And I still hadn't decided whether I was going to step back in. I met my father at a small cafe near his house. Neutral ground. Somewhere we'd never gone as a family, which felt intentional. He looked older than I remembered. Not suddenly. Just noticeably. His shoulders were slumped, and he kept rubbing his hands together like he was cold. He didn't waste time. We handled things badly, he said. Your mother and I should have stopped it. I waited. I'd learned that silence made people say more than apologies ever did. He told me what the last few months had been like. How my sister had tried to take over everything and failed. How arguments replaced routines. How small problems turned into daily stress. She's angry all the time, he admitted. Your mother's exhausted. I nodded. Not in agreement. Just acknowledgement. Then he said something I didn't expect. We didn't realize how much you were holding together. There it was. Not love. Not regret. Utility. I asked him why no one defended me that day. He sighed. It was easier to let you be the problem than to challenge her. That sentence hurt more than the meeting itself. I told him I appreciated the honesty, and I meant it. It didn't heal anything, but it closed a door that had been half open my entire life. He asked if I would come back. Slowly, carefully. Just dinners sometimes, he said. No pressure. I didn't answer right away. Instead, I asked him something that had been sitting with me for months. If I come back, will anything actually change? He didn't promise anything. He just looked tired. That was my answer. A week later, my sister showed up at my apartment unannounced. She didn't yell. She didn't insult me. That scared me more than anger ever had. She said she was overwhelmed. That she hadn't realized how much I did. That she felt abandoned. I listened. The same way I always had. Then I told her something I'd never said out loud before. You didn't want me gone. You wanted me useful and quiet. Her face tightened. She denied it, but not convincingly. I told her I wasn't cutting anyone off. I wasn't punishing anyone. I was just not stepping back into a role that erased me. She asked what that meant. It means I'll show up as myself, I said. Or not at all. She left without another word. The family dynamic didn't explode after that. It shrank. Holidays became smaller. Conversations became awkward. They stopped asking me to fix things. They stopped assuming I would. At first, they waited for me to return to normal. I didn't. Over time, something unexpected happened. They adjusted. My parents hired help for things I used to handle. My sister stopped volunteering herself as the decision maker. The house grew quieter, not calmer but more honest. As for me, my life expanded. Without constant emotional debt, I slept better. Made plans without checking anyone's expectations. I stopped rehearsing conversations in my head that would never go my way. Months later, I attended a family dinner. I sat at the table. No one told me to leave. No one told me I belonged either. And that was fine. Because I finally understood something that hit harder than any insult. Being wanted only when you're useful isn't love. And walking away from that isn't revenge. It's self-respect. The seat I once begged to keep stayed empty long enough for everyone to notice. And when I finally sat back down, it was on my terms. Not because they agreed, but because I did. I didn't get an apology that fixed everything. I didn't get a moment where everyone suddenly understood me. What I got was space. And in that space, I learned something important. People don't always miss you. Sometimes they miss the comfort you provide, the problems you solve, the silence you keep. When I stopped offering all of that, the relationship changed. Not because I became cruel, but because I became honest. I didn't leave to hurt anyone. I left to stop hurting myself. And that was the first decision I made that actually felt like mine.